Yo, what is up guys, welcome back to another video. Today, as DICE promised us, we have the update 6.2 patch notes in our hands. So in this video, as always, we're going to be going over all of the important changes. There are, of course, multiple nerfs coming for weapons that I covered in yesterday's video. There are a lot of big vehicle changes coming as well, but it also looks like DICE are planning to implement another game mode here. So this is actually going to be the first ever time that they give us 2 game modes in a single season. Before we get started though, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you guys do enjoy the content here on the channel. That way you won't miss out on any future videos. Thank you guys so much for the support. We are coming up fast here to 50,000 subscribers. We've got about 700 to go. That is going to be absolutely wild. So thank you guys so much for your ongoing support here. So let's start out with DICE's little tease here for the new game mode. So it says, protocol established, a band of misfits spurred on by the Penguins have crafted an interesting treat as we approach the end of the year. Expect to see new ways to play, new cosmetic rewards, and a mischievous mode in the coming weeks. They've got this screenshot here of what looks like a rather festive tank. So that leads me to believe this is going to be some sort of a seasonal game mode like around Christmas time and New Year's. They have planned these things before. If you guys remember all the way back when the game launched, we did have some skins in the game data mined. There's of course the classic Boris Santa Claus skin. I think it was Boris at least. I'm going to try and find a picture of it and show you guys. But they cancelled that, I think. They cancelled their plans for it because it just would have upset the community. They had more important things to work on. But that's all we get here. No clue as to what sort of a game mode it's going to be or when it's going to release. But if I had to guess, it's going to be sometime around Christmas, probably run throughout the Christmas holidays and into next year so that we've got something to do while DICE take a couple of weeks off of work. So with that said, let's just jump straight into the changelog here. So first up, you will now be able to alter the color identifier for armor via options, display, HUD general, colorblind, and then the custom list. So as you can change the color for most things in the game, I guess you couldn't do that for armor. I don't really know because I don't personally mess around with the colors too much. But for those of you who do, you will now also be able to change the color of armor. Next up, no more sneaky placement of the insertion beacon near C sector on redacted. So I think what they're referring to here is what people used to do is they would clip a spawn beacon or the insertion beacon through the wall close to the C flag and get it outside of the map, and then people were able to spawn on the beacon, get outside of the map, and then re-enter the map somewhere that they really shouldn't have been able to. They could also cap flags and things like that. So I think if that is the case, really good to see that that is now fixed. Now, that is most of the interesting stuff for general fixes and the maps. We're going to get straight into the vehicle section now because there, as you can imagine, quite a lot of changes here. So first of all, air vehicles will now benefit from computed impact points on select weaponry, and this will result in further improvements to vehicle aiming and crosshair alignment. Now, I did cover this in detail in yesterday's video, so I will leave a link up there in the corner if you guys want to hear about just how that's going to work. But if you're familiar with past Battlefield games like Battlefield 4, where you have this little floating predicted impact point, basically it's going to show you where your bullets or where your missiles are going to land. And overall, it should really help you guys with aiming your weaponry. Helicopter and jet anti-vehicle missiles now have the same 800-meter range. This is actually really big. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the rockets for the jets only had a range of about 600 meters, so this now gives you a much longer window when you're strafing to actually get off all of your rocket pods before you have to pull up out of that strafe and get the hell out of there. Now, you will notice it says jet anti-vehicle missiles. I believe this should be rockets, and I actually posted this on Twitter, and Eddie, one of the vehicle designers, did confirm that they are talking about the rockets here and not the missiles, so not the AGMs and not, you know, anti-air missiles or anything like that. They're talking about rockets. They have aligned crosshair with impact point on all cameras for air vehicles. Not exactly sure what that means or how it's going to play out in game, but in general it sounds like the crosshairs are now going to be more accurate. They have lowered the elevator response time on the jets, so it should now be easier to pitch correct when flying and making micro adjustments. So hopefully it's going to make those jets a little bit more snappy, a little bit more responsive, and less of that, you know, floaty feeling that I think we've all described them as being. They've also updated sticky input on jets when flying using a mouse, and the dev note here is, this might take some getting used to, try it out and let us know how you feel. I'm not 100% sure what they're talking about here. I think sticky inputs is, for example, the afterburner. If you don't want to have to hold shift for the afterburner, you can just have it as a toggle. I think that's what they mean by sticky inputs. Maybe I'm completely misinterpreting that. If you guys know what they're talking about, please feel free to comment down below and enlighten me. The repair tool will now work slower on vehicles with systemic damage. So what this means is whenever your vehicle gets hit and something breaks on it, right, your rotor breaks on a helicopter or your tracks on the tank brake or the turret, it's going to take longer to repair that kind of damage up with the repair tool. So a little bit of a nerf to repairing there. Now this one is really big for me. They fixed an issue with the tow-guided mechanic where missiles would fly towards objects behind obstacles, leading to inaccurate shooting. Now for those of you who have used tow missiles, you know that if you're trying to hit any sort of elevated object, so let's say, you know, the top of a tower on Kaleidoscope or Orbital, for example, the missile didn't really go where you were aiming it. And it seems here that the problem was that it was trying to fly towards a target on the ground and it was basically looking straight through the building. Obviously, we're going to have to try this out and see how it feels, but I'm quite hopeful for these feeling a lot better now. This next one, again, sounds kind of confusing to me. They've updated missile spawning from weapons, and the dev comment here is that this should lead to a more seamless, tight, and connected experience, and also all aircraft missiles will now fire in a single shot pattern rather than full auto. Again, I don't really fully understand what that means, but the way that I interpret it is that missiles will feel better. You know, I mean, but I think that's the most important takeaway here. What do you guys think of this? Now, one thing they seem to have completely missed out of the changelog here is, of course, the changes for the UI of the helicopter. So they have written a little section here above the changelog, though, and it says Air Vehicle HUD improvements. So a common request from our air aficionados is for improvements to be made that would allow for an improved state of communication between gunner and pilot. The vehicle team have been working on bringing a feature from previous titles into Battlefield 2042, where the HUD will now feature aim indicators, which will highlight the direction of aim for the gunner and pilot. As a gunner, this should now help orient yourself in respect to the direction that the pilot is heading in, and it will also allow for the pilot to understand what your current priorities are when it comes to engaging with ground targets. So this is, of course, the UI element that we've seen in games like Battlefield 4, and I believe it was in Battlefield 3 as well. I showed it in a video the other day, and I expect it to work much the same. Really good improvement there. Now, moving on here to some weapon changes. So I wasn't able to cover this in yesterday's video because they dropped this pretty late after I'd finished editing that video and uploading it on YouTube, but they've made some pretty big improvements to subsonic ammo and the suppressors. Now, a little bit of a backstory here. They very heavily nerfed the suppressors with Update 6.0 and the release of Season 6 to try to make them basically work in tandem with the subsonic ammo and make the subsonic ammo, you know, not so obsolete and useless, really. However, I think they nerfed the suppressors a little bit too much to the point where nobody was even bothering to use them. So if we start with the subsonic ammo here, they've increased the subsonic magazine capacity for the MP9, I think that's supposed to be not the MP90, from 21 to 25 bullets, and then they've increased the same here for the K30 from 21 to 30 bullets, so a little bit better magazines on those weapons. And then when it comes to the suppressors, there's quite a lot of changes here. So light suppressors will now benefit from minimap stealth from 30 meters and below. Light suppressors with subsonic will benefit from minimap stealth from 50 meters and below. Heavy suppressors from 50 meters and below as well, and then heavy suppressors with subsonic will now benefit from full minimap stealth when firing. Now, in my opinion, the way that they've worded this is quite confusing. So if we go and take the light suppressors here, the top line, they say you get stealth from 30 meters and below. In my brain, that says 30 meters down to 0 meters. That's actually not the case. It's 30 meters and beyond, I guess, is how I would have worded it. If you're closer than 30 meters to the target, you are going to appear on the minimap here. And obviously, if you go and then equip the subsonic ammo, that is going to extend that range to 50 meters. So then you're going to have to be within a 50-meter range from the target for them to actually see you on the minimap. anywhere beyond that, and then they're going to be able to see you. So I hope everybody understands that. Now, when it comes to these suppressors themselves, the PB Heavy Suppressor, the damage multiplier has changed from 0.85 to 0.9, the bullet velocity multiplier has changed from 0.8 to 0.85, and then when it comes to the Type 4 Heavy Suppressor, much the same thing here. And the box suppressor, for some reason for this one, it just says bullet velocity has received a slight increase. I don't know why we don't get numbers for that one, but as you can see, you're going to get slightly more damage with the suppressors and bullet velocity than you would have previously. So I think definitely give suppressors, and maybe even the subsonic ammo as well, give it a go again once 6.2 comes out, I'm assuming next Tuesday. See what you think of it and if it's actually worth using now. Okay, moving on to the weapon changes here. So first up, we have the G428. Obviously, I have covered this in yesterday's video, but here we have the exact numbers. So, they've really done a number on the G428, man. First up, standard issue ammo. 2-hit kill range has been reduced from 40 meters down to 20 meters, and there is now a new 4-hit kill distance over 125 meters. The high power ammo 2-hit kill range has been reduced from 50 meters down to 40. So if you take the high power ammo, you're now going to have the same 2-hit kill range as you would have previously had with the standard ammunition. They've increased the vertical and horizontal recoil, they've slightly decreased stability when firing bursts in full auto, they've increased maximum dispersion during full auto by 15%, they've increased dispersion per shot in both single and full auto by 7%, they've slowed the ADS speed, and then they've tweaked animation settings to match the increased recoil. So that is a pretty hefty nerf. Almost every factor for this weapon that I can imagine has seen a nerf here, so I don't know, I never really had a problem with this gun. I didn't think it was like that good, but maybe that's just me. Now the VHX D3, they've of course just done a minor nerf here. They've decreased the initial standing accuracy and they've increased dispersion per shot. So the damage model is going to remain the same, but obviously accuracy and spread of this weapon a little bit nerfed. Next, they have increased the amount of AP grenade launcher ammo you get from 1 up to 2. So when Season 6 came out, I believe they nerfed the amount of underbarrel grenades you would get from 3 down to 1. A lot of people, especially you engineers out there who like to use the AP grenades with your engineer kit, were really not happy about this, so hopefully that is going to go a little distance there with helping you guys out. And this is for the AK-24, the LCMG, the SFAR, and the SVK. Next up, the sidearm, the Super 500. Damage and dispersion has been tweaked to provide more consistent and higher damage over 10 meters, but lower chance to get a one-hit kill. And then we have the GEW46. So damage over 100 meters has been changed from 22 to 20 per bullet. I don't really imagine this will make a massive difference. Before it was a 5-hit kill, and it's still going to be a 5-hit kill, right? So I guess it's not like a major difference here. Very, very slight nerf to this weapon. Overall, I never considered it to be like one of the best weapons in the game. It's always been very decent and been able to hold its own against the competition, but did it really deserve a nerf? Well, I guess DICE thought so. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it. That was the last change there. So, as you can see, a lot of changes, mainly nerfs to the weapons, some good suppressor changes coming in though, and of course to the subsonic ammo as well. Lots of fantastic vehicle changes coming in though. And you guys know me, I'm a bit of a vehicle guy, so really looking forward to trying those out on Tuesday, and I will, of course, be bringing you guys all of my thoughts here on the channel. So, once again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are interested in that. Thank you guys ever so much for the support. Thank you for watching the video today as well. And a special thank you to my members and Twitch subs for their additional support. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.